show you guys the back seat that has a dog in it. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. This video is so exciting. It is all about the process of buying my new car as a first-time car buyer. So this is so exciting. Can't believe I'm filming this video. We are going to talk about all of the specifics from test driving to choosing a make and model, choosing how to finance or pay cash for the car, all of the above, new versus used. I really think this is just going to be an in-depth, fun video. If you're looking to buy a car, I hope this is helpful. Even if you're looking to buy a car in the future, hopefully this gives you guys just some insights about what the journey is like. Obviously, it's different for everyone, but I wanted to tell you guys a little more about my journey, so let's get into this video. I want to give you guys a little bit of a background of my personal experience with driving and with cars, because it's not your typical experience, and I really want to share this in case anyone watching can relate. So growing up, my mom did not drive, and to be frank, she was very scared of driving. If I was going on a road trip with my dad or with my friends' parents, she was really nervous. She's a nervous passenger in the car. So I've always had a little bit of reservations around cars, and I also grew up living in the downtown of a city of Ottawa and not really needing a car and just getting on fine without one. Now my dad has always had a car. My dad has always been, you know, someone who uses his car a lot. We've done a lot of road trips and he's always been a good driver, but I don't know, something within me always swayed towards my mom. I think I spent the most time with her growing up, and so that was really passed down to me, this like no need for a car, cars pollute, cars are bad essentially. So where I was growing up in Ontario, the rule is on your 16th birthday you are allowed to take your G1 driver's test. Your G1 test is a written test that gives you a learner's permit where you are allowed to drive with a licensed driver in the car. You then move up to your G2 and then to your G. So the time between your G1 and your G2 is a minimum of about a year, and then between your G2 and your G is 1 year. You can obviously take longer, which is what happened to me. So I didn't take my G1 test until I was 18, which was later than most of my friends. I didn't take it until I had already graduated high school because I never needed it. I was not in a family situation where anyone was going to be buying me a car, and I also wasn't in a family situation where people were encouraging me to drive. Now, I think part of this is gender related. I do think that because I'm a girl, my dad was a little bit less pro teaching me how to drive. No shade, Dad, but I think that's what happened. I also only had one parent who drove compared to a lot of kids that have two parents who drive. So there wasn't that much pressure on me to learn how to drive. There wasn't that much incentive, and practically there was only one car to practice with, and my dad uses his car for his business, so there wasn't a lot of time for me to use that car either. So I wasn't that incentivized to get my license. I got my learner's permit. I failed the written test 3 times before I finally got it when I was 18, like I said. And I did not get my G2, you guys, until this year. I waited about 7 years before getting my next level in my driver's license, and that's okay. I used to feel a lot of shame about it. Some people would make fun of me for it. Family members would critique me for it, but it is what it is. I've always lived in the downtown of a city, whether it was Ottawa or Montreal. I never needed a car until now, but I did really have to break through a lot of fear and a lot of just habits in order to get my license. Now, getting my license was such an empowering feeling. Driving for me now is so empowering. It is really a ticket to freedom. I think especially as girls, you know, you don't want to let yourself just be driven around all the time. You don't want to be chauffeured around all the time. And I had really fallen into that habit of letting boyfriends drive me around and stuff, letting friends drive me around. And when I got a dog, I had to put a stop to that because I needed my own wheels. I needed to be independent. And it was really important for me that I finally take this next step and get my license. Now, me being me, I had to take it a step further and get a car. I also knew that since I live away from my parents, I will never have the opportunity to practice driving to the extent that I can get good at it unless I have my own car. I also live far away from my parents. I live a 2-hour drive from them, and to visit them with the dog is now impossible on the train or the bus. So if I want to go see them, I need a car. So that being said, I got my license this summer of 2021, and very shortly, like literally a few weeks after, I bought a car. That's just my backstory. I know I took a long time on it, but if anyone's watching and they're like, you know, I was later to getting my license, or I still don't even have my first license, like, take your time, but also know that it's so empowering. It's such a fun thing to do, and it's safe, you know? Like, I had such a fear around driving, but millions of people drive every day, you know? So just something to keep in mind. So where do you start when it's time to buy a car? It can be so overwhelming. Well, what I recommend and what I did is I started with an ideal budget. I thought, okay, how much do I want to spend? And I thought, well, I knew I did not want monthly car payments. So there was no way I was leasing a car, and there's no way I was going to finance a car. I wanted to pay cash for my car. I personally don't like monthly payments. They stress me out, and I don't want to be locked into any 5-year commitment because that's just too long for me. I don't know where I'll be in 1 year, let alone 5. I don't know if I'll want a different car, and then it's complicated. And car dealerships just have such a bad rep when it comes to financing. You know, that's where they make all of their money, so you're constantly feeling like you're getting ripped off. I wanted to save up and pay for my car. Now, my original budget was $7,000. I then moved it up to 10. We'll talk about how much I ended up paying after, but having an initial budget in mind allowed me to start looking at cars, and that's what I did. I started looking on Auto Trader, and I also started just looking on the street and seeing what look of a car do I like, and reflecting on friends, family members' cars that I've been in, even Ubers, and thinking, what cars did I like? What cars did I like the feeling of? So actually on the street when I was looking, there's a new car that's out called the Hyundai Kona. And that car looks like it would just be perfect for me. However, when you look for those used, they're still very expensive because it's a newer model car. So that was out the window. And then I started thinking, well, I want something super cheap. Like I said, $7,000. Well, you're not gonna get very far with $7,000. You can totally do it. You can buy a car for $4,000, but the kind of cars that there were, I just didn't like. In that budget point, you're looking at something like a Toyota Echo, Toyota Camry. There's a few other ones, like I think it's a Nissan Versa, just those smaller, more compact cars. I also knew right away that I wanted a hatchback or an SUV. I was kind of like ideally an SUV because I like the feeling of being higher up, but I knew because of my dog I wanted a hatchback just so that I can have more things in there. I also wanted to use it for camping, skiing, outdoorsy activities where the hatchback would be best. So also think about the model you want and think about what you're doing with your car to help choose the model. So having narrowed down the kind of car that I thought I wanted, I narrowed it down to a few options. One was the Toyota RAV4, the other was the Golf, or the Volkswagen Tiguan. Now, where did I get Golf and Tiguan from? Well, a lot of my family members drive Volkswagen. They really like it. A lot of them drive the Golf specifically. My dad has a Golf right now. And when we went to the dealership, I'm super lucky that my cousin owns a car dealership, so he was helping me. He said, insurance and for what you need, a Golf is best. His car dealership specializes in a little bit more higher end cars. So like Volkswagen is kind of the bottom of the range for him. He sells like Range Rovers, BMW, Lexus, etc. But I really trust him. I trust what he knows. Plus a lot of my family members had Volkswagen. I like the brand. I like the feel of those cars. I'd been in them. And so I thought, okay. The other one that I really liked was a RAV4. I test drove 2 of them. Really liked them. However, there just wasn't any in my price range. And I also ended up testing the Volkswagen Tiguan, which I really liked. It just felt a little more luxurious than the RAV4, so I decided to stick with the Volkswagen route. I just wanted to give a few notable mentions of other cars that I test drove. I test drove a BMW SUV that was very nice. It was also very affordable. It was $12,000. And I'm not gonna lie, the label kind of got me, but my cousin told me that it would be higher on gas, so I decided to steer away. I also test drove a Mini Cooper. So affordable, you guys. It was $7,000 or like $6,000. It was so affordable. It was like a 2-door hatchback Mini Cooper. It was actually the favorite car that I test drove because it felt like you were driving a race car, and I like to go fast. It was a really fun car. However, I just didn't think it suited my needs that much. I wanted a car where if I had 4 friends in there going on a road trip with my dog, we would all be comfortable. And those are the kind of scenarios you need to give yourself in order to think about what kind of car you want. So originally I was pretty set on a Golf, and I was like, all right, let's look for a Golf. And the reason I ended up test driving the Mini Cooper was because I went to a dealership to look at a Golf, and he pointed me towards the Mini Cooper. He then also pointed me towards a Tiguan. But like I was saying, I'm getting ahead of myself. Like I was saying, you want to think about the kind of experiences that you're going to use your car for, and think about where you'll be the most comfortable. If you're mainly going to be doing city driving, you probably want something smaller that's more compact, that you can park more easily. If you're going on excursions, if you want to pile your friends and your dogs in the car, you might want something bigger. And that's really what helped me narrow down my car focus, because like I said, I test drove a bunch of things. At a certain point, I kind of liked everything. You know, there was nothing that I really hated besides the Honda CR-V. I didn't like any Honda that I test drove, so no Hondas for me. But it was down to the Tiguan or the Golf, and I had to think, and I thought, no, I want something that 4 people on a road trip with a dog can be quite comfortable in, because I want my car to enable me to go on experiences. So thinking about it that way really helped narrow the focus, and narrowing the focus allowed me to tell my cousin who owned the car dealership exactly what I wanted. Tiguan, leather seats, Bluetooth, moonroof. Moonroof is the bigger window, and I told him my budget, and he went off and looked for me. I realize that's not a privilege that everybody has. If you do know somebody in the dealership industry, that's awesome, and I recommend doing something similar, telling them what you'd like and having them look for it, because they have access to these auction sites that we don't have access to. You can also set up alerts on sites like Kijiji and Auto Trader to trigger that specific model. Or you can just kind of keep your eye out and think, I want a hatchback, I want an SUV, and keep checking those sites, even Facebook, and just keep an eye on that model. One thing I want to talk about is how pushy car dealers can be. They will sway you in all kinds of directions. I had the guy at the car dealership trying to sell me on a BMW sedan, and for a moment I was swayed. I was like, yeah, it'd be so fun to drive this car. And then he told me how much the insurance was per month, and I was like, wait a minute. So you have to be careful with these car dealers, because they will try and sway you. So make sure you know what you want going into the dealership, or make sure you go into the dealership when you don't know what you want. Make sure you don't get swayed or pursued into anything, because that is how you could end up making a hasty decision, which could be the wrong one for you. Those car dealers will also always try to get you to spend more money. So have a budget in mind. And when you go into those places, do not get swayed. They will do everything in their power. You'll feel it to sway you. And I just urge you guys to stay strong, especially as women. They're going to try and push us around. We got to say no. So I didn't let that guy push me around. I did, however, test drive a Tiguan with him and really liked it. And I took that information and gave it to someone that I trusted, who ended up finding the right car for me. So like I said, I ended up choosing the Volkswagen Tiguan. I will show you guys my car in just a sec, but I wanted to give you guys kind of the specs, I guess. It is a 2015 Volkswagen Tiguan, leather seats, moonroof. Like I said, there's Bluetooth and there's navigation in it, which is great. A lot of the features I still haven't played with. I haven't used the navigation. But overall, I just really like the feel of the car. It feels safe, it feels sturdy, it's a high up, and it drives really nice. It also drives quite fast, which I like, and I'm very happy. So let me cut away and give you guys a tour of the car. This is it, the Volkswagen Tiguan 2015. It's really cold outside, so I'm wearing my winter stuff. But yeah, this is my car. This is the brown color, and we're gonna just do a quick car tour today. We got some nice wheels. This is the front driver's seat. It's running right now because we wanted to keep it warm, but that's what it looks like inside. We have leather seats. It's still very clean because I don't use it that much. Okay, so this is a view of the inside. Not sure how much it matters, but yeah, that's what it looks like. And this is the nice moon roof. This was definitely a selling feature of the car. And from the back, you can see there's tons of room. I have skis in here, a dog, and it has this nice like cup holder thing in the middle. So for road trips, the people in the back will be comfortable. Huh?
Pretty sure that's not called a moon roof.
That's what it's called. And then you can see the two lit up things was an absolute deal breaker. In Canada, we needed the heat seaters. The other thing that's cool is the push to start, and there's also keyless entry from the doors from the outside. So you don't even need to keep, like the keys are in my pocket right now. I haven't taken them out. Has the new car smell, even though it's more than 5 years old. We're gonna save this door for last. I'm gonna show you guys the trunk. So the trunk is really big, which is great. You guys can see I have like ski equipment in here. This is stuff I need to take for donation, but like I was saying earlier in the video, this is like what I wanted with the car, was to be able to really fit everything. And like, as you can see, size is not an issue. And then I'll show you guys the back seat that has a dog in it. And we also have skis and stuff. So yeah, there's tons of room. It's really cozy and spacious in the back, which I love. And I think that's it. That's my car. So I hope it was fun getting a little tour of my car there. If you guys would like a more detailed tour, let me know in the comments. I will be happy to do that, but I wanted to show you guys just like a quick overview of the car. Now let's talk about how much it cost. So I told you guys at the beginning of the video that my budget started around $10,000. Then it went up to 12, and I ended up spending $14,500 Canadian on this car. Now, I told my cousin my budget, and he came back with this one and was just like, honestly, you're not gonna find better. The car was in perfect condition with those leather seats, and it had very good mileage on it. It had just a little over 100,000 kilometers, which is pretty good. That's another thing that's very confusing when you buy a car, is the mileage. I still can't tell you the most about it. What I was told is for the age range that I was looking at, which was 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, you want to try and find around 100 if possible. And basically it's like the more mileage on the car, the more it could be susceptible to damage. But it's very confusing. Unfortunately, I'm not an expert, but I was told this car had great mileage. It was a brown color, which kind of threw me off at first, but now I really like, because my car is very easily noticeable, and I really like my car. It feels like my own. I feel so proud when I'm driving it. It's honestly kind of a surreal experience when I think about the fact that just a year ago, I couldn't drive, and this felt like a pipe dream, and here we are. But let's get back to talking about the price of it. So yes, it was more expensive than I intended to pay, and it was more expensive than I had saved up. So my plan of paying cash was a little bit faltered. Now, could I have scraped together the money if I like drained all my savings account and stuff? Yes, and that was my original plan. I was really against financing, but my cousin who was helping me made a really good point, and he suggested that I finance a good percentage of it to build my credit. And he was like, you don't have to do the minimum payments. You only have to keep it open for 6 months. Then you can pay it off in full, and it will really, really help you build your credit. So I thought that was the perfect sort of happy medium where I can do really large payments onto this car loan, not pay it off, you know, over 5 years, but rather over 6 months, and have a good building of my credit, and also give me a little bit of breathing room when it comes to paying this thing off. I do feel like I'm very hard on myself when it comes to debt. I want to avoid it at all costs. So I have incurred a little bit of debt with this car, and let's talk about how much. So I put down $5,000 cash, which I think is pretty good. I don't really know what these minimums are, and like that whole world is crazy. I would honestly recommend paying cash as much as possible, because I just feel like having car payments is stressful, and if you can pay cash, then do it. But hey, that's just my opinion. So remaining, I had to go in and like sign these papers. I actually vlogged it a little bit. And here's the vlog. So I'm in the car on the way to go pay for this car. I'm not driving, as you can see. I'm in the passenger seat. It's raining, but yeah, because I got this car from my cousin, and I was still in Montreal when I got it, he just said to wait until I came back to Ottawa to fill fill out the paperwork and pay for it. So I'm gonna find out how much I actually owe, because I don't know how much it came to with like the fees and the taxes and everything, like the licensing fees. And we're gonna be financing part of it. So I have to sign the papers for financing and then pay the down payment. So we'll take you guys with me. Probably will be too shy to film there, but I'll let you guys know what happens. So till then.
At you. Yeah, you're scary.
So they gave me like a breakdown of everything. So the selling price of the car was $14,500. No warranty, no anything. He didn't charge me any like seller's fees because he's my cousin, which is amazing. So you might have a little bit more of that. Now I also had an HST, which is provincial tax, of $1,885 and a licensing fee of $169, which brought the total cost of the car up to $16,554. Yeah, there's unseen costs when you get a car. So I went from 10 to 12 to 14, ouch, to 16,500, right? Like that's where things get crazy. And that's where having the financing is nice for a little bit of breathing room. But again, whatever, you know my opinion. I put down a deposit of $5,000. I paid that by e-transfer. And the remaining was $11,554. Then there was a registration fee for the car loan of $80, which means that my financed amount was a total of $11,688.75. So that is currently how much my car loan is sitting at. I haven't made a first payment yet because I'm waiting for it to get linked up to my bank account. I have to call the bank. It's super annoying, but I took a car loan with the same bank that I do business with. He told me they were all the same. And the interest rate is 6%. So that's quite high. And what it says on my form there is if you end up taking the whole term of the loan, which means waiting the like 4 or 5 years that the loan is actually good for, you will pay an additional $2,000 in interest. That's why I want to avoid loans, you guys, because the interest is crazy. That is literally $2,000 out the window. So if you can avoid it, avoid it. I know I'm gonna have to pay a little bit of interest over these next 6 months, but at least it's nowhere near $2,000. So I'm gonna start making chunk payments towards my car loan. I already have a bunch of money saved up in order to do so. I don't have the total amount, but as the months keep going, I'll keep saving, and I'm hoping to have this thing paid off in the next 6 months, which feels really good. Okay, the last thing I wanna talk about is insurance. There's so many costs when it comes to having a car. Everybody knows this, but I want to lay it all out super transparently for you guys. Insurance is so expensive. Now, remember at the beginning of the video, I talked about the different license classes that you have? Well, if you have your G1, you can't own a car because you can't really drive it by yourself. So I don't know how much insurance costs for that. I don't even know if it's available. Your G2, like I said, is that middle class, which is still technically considered a learner's permit. You can own a car, you can drive it by yourself, you have certain regulations like you can't drink alcohol, blah, blah, blah. But overall, you're pretty much a full-fledged driver. That said, you don't have like a full license, so insurance is really, really expensive. My insurance is like $300 a month or something crazy. That is so expensive, but I realized that in order for me to have a car, to learn how to drive, it was kind of just an expense that I would have to incur and like take the L, so to speak, in order to do something for the long term, which is learn how to drive comfortably, remove the anxiety around driving, and like take a step in what I feel is my independence. So that costs $300 a month in insurance. Now, I want to be so transparent with you guys and let you know my mom actually decided to pay my insurance for me for the first year, which is so nice. I think she honestly feels bad about like not teaching me how to drive and not having a car growing up. And so this is her just way of saying that she's proud of me for not following in her footsteps, I guess, and like learning how to drive. And she's been so kind at like showing her support for me, which is really amazing. So my mom is paying this for me, but that being said, it is an expense that I would have taken on if I needed. I was out here going on and on about my mom and my camera overheated. So shout out to my mom for paying my insurance. It's a really lovely gift. You guys, when you're shopping for insurance, shop around. I ended up saving almost $100 a month by shopping around. I actually used an insurance broker who found me the best deal. So shop around, shop around, shop around, find the best deal that you can. And that's that on insurance. It's got to be paid. You literally cannot drive the car off the lot unless you have insurance. Okay, you guys, that is it for my first time car buyer experience. Is there anything else you want to know? I want to be helpful and help you guys out. So leave it in the comments below and I will film a follow-up video to this if there are enough questions, answering them and maybe giving a more detailed tour of my car. So let me know everything that you want to know down below. Thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. And thank you guys so much for the support on this learning to drive and purchasing a car journey. It's been really fun sharing it with you. So I hope to continue the journey with you. Thanks again for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.